Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Brittany Jennings coming to you live on this Friday wonderful morning as we're getting ready we're in the holiday spirit for Christmas and all the holidays coming up. I am joined by Patrice McKenney, who is the owner of Mckenney Home Care. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning, Brittany.
How are
Thank you
you?
for having me. I'm good. I love your background. I love the Christmas
Thank
lights.
you. As I mentioned, being festive, like it's a Friday, number one. So Fridays are always festive Fridays, but this is like, I was telling you before this, like I've been ready for decorating for Christmas and the holidays for like since middle of September. I've pretty much pushed it. I think it's what we all need this year. You know, it brings happiness.
We do. We do. After all this COVID, we need a little bright holiday spirit for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I want to ask you a little bit for those that maybe haven't met you, and I know this year's been that kind of challenging year for people to network as much as possible as they were. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how Mckenney Home Care got started.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Mckenney Home Care is a private duty home care agency. We are located in Naples. Our first office was in Naples. We've been in business for 8 years. And now we have an office up in Sarasota as well. And I started this business with my sister. She and I are partners. It's family owned. We had diverse backgrounds. I'm a lawyer. I was a corporate lawyer in Washington, D.C. And corporate transactions, banking, that sort of thing, very, very much a corporate law practice with a large law firm. And then I switched over. I found out that what I was really good at was running companies and what I enjoyed. So I have run a couple of companies as a CEO position. I worked for a company where I was a turnkey CEO for a while. And then I was recruited by a large company over in Switzerland to do a turnaround for them. That was the International Osteoporosis Foundation. So that was fun, about 5 years in Switzerland, and then returned here to Florida, was remarried and married a guy from Naples and settled down here. Concurrently, my sister was with the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center for 30 years. And for all that time, she started like as a secretary and then rose to the vice president of the entire medical center and president of 2 of their divisions. And one of them had all the home care, private duty, Medicare facilities, that sort of thing. She ended up retiring from UPMC after 30 years, remarried, and ended up in Naples too. So we couldn't have written the script if we tried. But neither of us was ready to retire. So we decided to put ourselves out there and start the company. We see private duty home care as certainly of growing importance, given the way healthcare has moved over the past 10 years. What goes on in the home is super important. I mean, you can have the best surgical outcome in the world, and if you go home and you are non-compliant or don't do what you need to do, you can be right back where you started very quickly. So we also have the problem of people living longer and with chronic disease and needing that kind of support at home. So we felt very strongly that we would use our combined backgrounds, start a company that was dedicated to quality service exclusively. That's it. That's all we do. We're very focused on our mission.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. I hadn't heard your full story, so I love hearing that. You ladies are I call you boss ladies.
Thanks.
I love that. So I love empowering women and strong women. So I'm inspired by you. And what is your inspiration? You know, with running your company and with your day-to-day, it can be draining. Let's just be honest. You know, it can be exhausting, I'm sure, from start to finish every day. So what keeps you going? What's your inspiration?
It's true. To your point, this is a difficult business. It seems like a simple business, but it is not. It is constant. You have to be on top of it every day. But we are inspired every day by really 2 different things. One is our clients. Our clients are just fabulous. And they respond so well to this kind of individualized care. When you have the relationship that's built between the client and the caregiver, and you see the client come back to life, you know, enjoy themselves, get a nice quality for the last period of their life. It's really heartwarming, and that inspires us to keep going. But secondly is our caregivers. We have a little story on the website. My grandmother was an Irish immigrant, and she was a caregiver. And that 6th grade education from Ireland, new American, widow, 3 kids. You know, when we look at our caregivers, we see our grandmother, and these gals just are hardworking. They truly care. I mean, they're angels. They do things that I think the majority of people could not do in caring for people with dementia, and they do it with so much heart and love. So those things inspire us to keep going every day.
That's amazing. I appreciate you sharing that with us. And I think it's always important, like it's such a good question to know, because I think each of us is driven by something different. So definitely wanted for you to be able to share that. And one thing that kind of leads into too is that caregiver stress, right? With the services you provide, the relief it can provide, not only of course physically and time wise, but emotionally.
Yeah.
What is, kind of help us define what is caregiver stress, and how can your services help with that?
Well, caregiver stress is a very real thing in the world. I mean, people, I think one of the most underappreciated people in the world is the family caregiver. So I have to say the family caregiver is another source of inspiration. Being a family caregiver myself, it is something that is a 24/7 job. You're constantly on alert for something going on. And what happens is the cortisol levels are elevated because of that constant stress. You have various stressors. You have this ambiguous loss where it could be your partner or a parent, somebody like that, little by little is slowly fading away. You have great uncertainty about the future. You know, the constant demands, you rarely get a break, you're constantly on, and yet in a way it's lonely because you lack the socialization that normal people have, because let's face it, somebody with Alzheimer's isn't going to be the most popular person in town. So you're home a lot, and that's the way it is. And all those things can cause your cortisol levels to elevate. And science now is, very clear on the fact that long-term elevation of cortisol levels causes inflammation and causes disease. So it can cause heart disease, it can cause Alzheimer's, it can cause, high blood pressure, you name it, mental health, depression and anxiety are very common among family caregivers. It's very difficult to get out of it. Then you get this cycle of, anxiety and depression, elevated cortisol. And the sad part of it is it leads to sort of a rigid thinking. So then you're just thinking, well, I have to do this. I have to do this. And it's hard to see a way out. So, what people really need is a break. They need to find a way to deal with the stress, meditation, exercise, socialization, knitting, whatever it is that causes, helps you relax.
Decorating for the holidays.
Exactly. The holidays. Yeah. I'll give you an example. I hope you don't mind my sharing this with you, because I think it's really important. Down here in Naples, we have a wonderful organization called the Senior Center. And they usually run a respite program for their members, dementia respite program. They do a great job. And it gives the caregivers, the family caregivers, 4 hours a week off. They get a little break. And the family member with dementia has stimulation, is with other people, is able to, have a little change up too. Well, of course, during coronavirus, that hasn't happened because it's very dangerous to have groups, of people in that age group together. So what they've done is they recognize the importance of giving those family caregivers a break. So they've been able to raise the funds to raise the grant money to be able to provide all of those families 4 hours of respite care every week. And it has made such a difference for these family caregivers just to know for 4 hours their loved one is in good hands. They're being taken out for a walk, they're playing games, and they themselves can, have some peace of mind and go off and do what they need to do for 4 solid hours. So I can't stress the importance of, taking caregiver stress seriously and doing something about it if you are the family caregiver.
Absolutely. And that the 4 hours, it's a win-win on both sides, because of course, that person's getting out, they're being active with what's going on at the senior center, but the other person can go get their hair done, their nails done, or however they want to spend that time, even if it's just alone in a quiet house, right?
Exactly.
Whatever makes you happy and peaceful. So,
yes.
And speaking of COVID in 2020 and kind of, how has that affected Mckenney Home Care? Is, what's kind of the takeaway with what has happened this year through this challenge?
Well, without a doubt, it's been a challenging year. We have seen it all, really. We have seen some clients, well, first I'll address the clients that are in facilities, because we do provide a lot of care for clients who live in facilities. They might be in assisted living, they might be in memory care. And that has been so difficult for them because, you know, when you talk about isolation and accelerating the disease process through isolation, we've seen a lot of that this year. And it's very sad. You know, a lot of people, this was most likely their last Thanksgiving and they had to spend it alone, maybe with a caregiver. The caregivers have been angels. They've been absolute troopers because facilities requirements for testing of caregivers coming in to provide care changes. In some cases, it's changed daily, often weekly or bi-weekly, depending on the levels of cases in the county or in the facility. So for us, we've had to keep up with the changing requirements for COVID testing. Of course, if there's been any potential exposure of any of our caregivers or clients, we have a full program of contact tracing and notification and quarantine. We've you know, pay for our caregivers to be tested regularly, our nurses to be tested regularly, the PPE requirements, you know, making sure everybody has what they need. So it's been an extra level of work on the administrative side, which is appropriate. Everybody's working harder if they're lucky enough to be working. So it's been tough, but you know, it's helped us to reinforce with our caregivers as basic things of washing your hands frequently, you know, keeping a respectful distance from your clients and everybody else, wearing a mask, you know, as appropriate. So everybody's gotten into the habit and we've been able to get our systems down. But, you know, when you talk about also the family caregivers and our clients in their homes and the fear and the anxiety that the family caregivers have anyway, and then you load the fear that, oh my God, you know, are they going to be exposed if I have a caregiver come in? And then, you know, you're in the process of weighing as a family caregiver, your own mental health and need to get a break and need for assistance in the home with your loved one against the potential for exposure to coronavirus. It's a very stressful thing. It has been for everybody, really.
Definitely. And like you said, you know, I think for all of us, like it's been a wake up call, at least for, you know, very cliche to say, but for the washing of hands, for, you know, like all this time, you know, all of us that go into, let's say, for instance, like assisted living communities, or you're going to the hospital, these are practices that we, you know, it's kind of like a wake up call, like, why weren't we doing this before? Like, even if we have a common cold, wear a mask, you know, protect the people around you. That's really what it's all about. So,
right.
Let's touch on real quick here, just some of the services, some of the main services that you're providing to your clients daily, and then I'm going to share your website just so people can see what that looks like, and they can come onto that and get more information.
Great, thank you. Okay, we provide everything from companion. First of all, we're licensed by ACA, this, you know, the state agency that licenses private duty all healthcare facilities in Florida, but we're also accredited by an outside accrediting agency. And we provide services, everything from companion care, which could be transportation, just keeping company, meal prep, that sort of thing. We provide aids, which provide hands-on care, bathing, toileting, that sort of thing. And we also provide skilled nursing care. So we're licensed and accredited for skilled nursing care, a little bit of wound care, medication management, you know, injections, medication administration, that sort of thing. So we cover the full continuum of care. We find that's been really helpful for our clients because sometimes people start out, we have a minimum of 3 hours a day, once a week, that could be it. Sometimes people start right there. And within a very short period of time, they recognize that the help is important and, you know, they need additional help. So it's always, we have had clients for up to 5 years, 6 years. We've been delighted to start with them a movie every Sunday, now to, you know, skilled nursing care on hospice. So we love that we can stay with our clients during the full life cycle.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, sometimes it's like clients, it's taking the first step, which would be like a baby step of making the call and then having you come out, do that assessment, that home assessment, and obviously see what those needs are. And they say, okay, well, let's start with this. And then they realize, wait a minute, my quality of life is enhancing. It's getting better. Why don't you help me with this? And so definitely you guys cover that full gamut of care. And I'm just going to share my screen real quick so we can show off your lovely website. So you've got obviously the information here for the Sarasota location and Naples. Is there anything on the website specifically that you'd want people to check out?
I would say the frequently asked questions is quite good, because people that may or may not, might be on the fence with home care, might not know the difference between an agency and a registry. What questions do you ask when you're interviewing home care agencies? We cover a lot of that information here. We also have resources, a lot of good white papers, educational material, as well as a list of services. We also highlight some of our caregivers so people can get a sense for, who our caregivers are and what they look like.
Very nice. Well, I will put all of this information in the website, phone number for people to reach out to you to find out more information or to go ahead and get that call in to start care. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Patrice. It's been amazing, and just appreciate everything that you guys are doing.
Thank you. Thanks, Brittany. Likewise, you guys are doing a great job too, and we appreciate, what you do for the community.
Thank you so much. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in to this segment or episode. I'm trying to think of what to call it, this platform live stream, of course, on this Friday, and hope everybody has a safe and fun weekend. Bye, everybody.